To whatever eternity is attributed due to non-existence of externals, inference of eternity and eternal inconceivability, an inherent cause or reason of that eternal inconceivability, is not known. The first-hand attainment characteristic of the sphere of ultimate knowledge should not be referred to by you, Mahamati, as external. Furthermore, Mahamati, those who are frightened by fear of suffering based on imaginations of mundane life seek nirvana. Those who know mundane life and nirvana are not disparate think of nirvana as deriving from absence of all imaginations of things, and cessation of future objects, not after disengagement of the receptacle of consciousness of first-hand realization. Thus, Mahamati, deluded people come to speak of three vehicles, not those who say the realization of mind only has no image. Thus, Mahamati, those who do not recognize the realm of subjective mental objects of the realized ones of past, present, and future are immersed in the realm of externalized subjective mental objects. They revolve, moreover, Mahamati, on the wheel of ways of mundane life. Also, Mahamati, the realized ones of past, present, and future say all things are unoriginated. Why is that? Because of the non-existence of actuality in subjective mental objects, being dissociated from the occurrence of being and non-being, Mahamati, all existence are unoriginated. All things, Mahamati, are equivalent to the horns of rabbits, horses, mules, and camels. All things are unoriginated, Mahamati, as imagined to be in themselves, naive ordinary people's imaginations of what does not actually exist. The realm of attainment of first-hand ultimate knowledge, Mahamati, is the origination of the definition of the nature of all existence, not of the nature of the realm of duality of the imagination of ignorant folk. The receptacle consciousness, appearing as the independent existence of body, property, abode, and way of life, proceeding in terms of the grasped and the grasper, the ignorant with minds fallen into the dualism in views of origination, continued existence, and dissolution, imagined to be the origin of the being and non-being of all things. Here, Mahamati, you should make effort. Furthermore, Mahamati, there are 5 classes of attainment. What are the 5? The class of attainment of the vehicle of listeners, the class of attainment of the vehicle of solitary illuminates, the class of attainment of the vehicle of those who arrive at reality, the class of unfixed alternatives, and a 5th excluded class. How, then, Mahamati, is the class of attainment of the vehicle of listeners to be understood? Whoever is thrilled when being taught understanding of perfect consciousness of particular and common characteristics of the clusters, elements, and media, and whose intellect sets upon knowledge of analysis of characteristics, not by analysis of the non-separate cluster of interdependent origination, this one is of the class of attainment of the vehicle of listeners. One who, having seen the attainment of the vehicle of listeners, freed of adventitious afflictions in the 6th and 5th stages but not free from afflictions of impressions, reaching an inconceivable non-degenerating state, roars the true lion roar, I am finished with birth. Settled in pure conduct and so on, having declared this, aims as far as nirvana through analysis of selflessness of personality. Others, furthermore, Mahamati, seek nirvana from awakening to the essence of self, being, life, growth, person, and personality. Others, moreover, Mahamati, aim for the state of nirvana having seen all thing based on causes. Because of lack of perception of selflessness of phenomena, Mahamati, there is no liberation. This, Mahamati, is the notion of escape that is no escape characteristic of the class of attainment of the vehicle of listeners. Here, Mahamati, you should make effort to desist from false views. Now then, one who belongs to the class of attainment of the vehicle of solitary illuminates is one who becomes tearful, joyful, and thrilled when being taught solitary attainment, when being guided in perception of paranormal production of many assorted manifestations of a variety of separate doubles of one's own body entering into being through deliberate dissociation, one who accepts the guidance is called a member of the class of attainment of the vehicle of solitary illuminations, who, when this is recognized, should be spoken to in conformity with the attainment of the vehicle of Solitary illuminates. This, Mahamati, is the definition of a member of the class of attainment of the vehicle of solitary illuminates. Now then, Mahamati, the class of attainment of the vehicle of those who've arrived at reality is of three kinds, namely the class of attainment of the truth that inherent nature has no existence of its own, the class of the attainment of the wise whose understanding is inherent in the individual, and the class of attainment of the nobility of external Buddha lands. When being taught one of these three, one who is not frightened, terrified, or overcome with trembling while being directed to inconceivable perspective on the body, possessions, and abode as subjective objects of thought, this individual is to be known as a member of the class of attainment of the vehicle of those who have arrived at reality. This, Mahamati, is the definition of the class of attainment of the vehicle of those who arrive at reality. A member of the unfixed class, Mahamati, should be directed to any of these three in which the individual may be suitably guided. This establishment of classes, Mahamati, belongs to the preparatory stage. The establishment is made for entry into the stage where there are no images. The individual receptacle, however, of one purified of subjective afflictions and habits, having attained the abode of bliss of concentration from seeing the selflessness of phenomena, a listener will attain embodiment as a victor. Then the Blessed One spoke these verses, the realization of entry into the stream, and of the once returner as well, the realization of the non-returner and even of the saint too, is a vagary of mind. I speak of three vehicles, one vehicle and no vehicle. Differently for the naive, those with intoxicated intellect, and the wise. Presentation of ultimate truth is but a door, without duality. How can there be establishment of three vehicles when abiding where there are no images? The meditations, immeasurables, and formless concentrations, the extinction of perception, is all not found in mind alone. Now, then, Mahamati, how does the non-nihilistic liberation of nihilists take place? By giving up all roots of good, and by virtue of undertakings for people since beginningless time. How does the abandonment of all roots of good come about? By rejection of the canon of bodhisattvas, making the false accusation that these scriptures are not conducive to liberation, one does not enter nirvana because of giving up all roots of good. Second, Mahamati, a great bodhisattva does not become perfectly calm, because of intending to perfectly calm all people who have not completely calmed down because of pursuing means of worldly undertakings. This is characteristic of those who do not enter complete calm as a rule, by which they comprehend the way of nihilism. Mahamati said back, which of these, Blessed One, ultimately never enters total calm? The Blessed One said, the bodhisattva nihilist living for enlightenment, Mahamati, knowing all things to be primordially quiescent, ultimately never enters total calm. Neither does the nihilist who gives up all roots of good. For the nihilist who gives up all roots of good, Mahamati, with the support of the realized, sometime or another promotes roots of good. Why? Because no beings at all are completely abandoned by those who arrive at reality. Hence, for this reason, Mahamati, it is said bodhisattva nihilists never enter complete calm. Also, Mahamati, a great bodhisattva should become familiar with the three definitions of inherent nature. Among them, Mahamati, the entirely imagined nature starts from appearances. How does completely imagined nature start from appearances? Relative nature, Mahamati, is named as a descriptive expression of appearances of things. Now then, Mahamati, immersion in descriptions of appearances of things is also of two kinds. Those who have arrived at reality, the truly enlightened saints, establish the completely imagined nature by way of description of immersion in names, and by way of description of immersion in the appearances of things named. So then the definition of immersion in appearances of things is immersion in internal and external phenomena. And immersion in descriptions of appearances means the awareness in comprehensive knowledge of particular and common characteristics in those internal and external phenomena. This, Mahamati, is the twofold character of completely imagined nature. The supporting basis from which starts is the relative What, then, Mahamati, is the absolute nature? It is the realm of the knowledge of the wise attained first-hand without defining things by appearances and names, with the mind realizing the supreme knowledge of reality as such. This absolute nature, Mahamati, is the heart of the matrix of the state of arrival at reality. Then the Blessed One spoke this verse. Appearance, nature, and imagination is a description of two natures. True knowledge is descriptive of the absolute nature of reality. This cycle of teaching called analysis of the characteristics of the five elements is the domain of first-hand attainment of ultimate knowledge, which you and other bodhisattvas should learn. Also, Mahamati, a great bodhisattva should become skilled in analysis of the characteristics of twofold selflessness. So, Mahamati, what is the definition of twofold selflessness? The collection of clusters, elements, and media, without self or possession, originating in ignorance, activity, and craving, communicates consciousness through all the sense faculties evolving from immersion in apprehending form by the eye and so on, the body and abode contained in objects of subjective thought as imagined by subjective mental construction. It operates proceeding like a river, seeds, lamps, wind, clouds, in unbroken succession. Moving to and fro like a monkey or a fly, impure, ranging on impure objects, unguided, insatiable as fire, retaining residual impressions of mental objects of conceptual elaboration since beginningless time. On the wheel of repetitious states of existence like the mechanical wheel of a water wheel, assuming various physical forms, like a magical zombie or a robot, sound knowledge of these characteristics is called knowledge of selflessness of personality. Then what, Mahamati, is knowledge of selflessness of phenomena? It means awareness of the inherent nature of imagined characteristics of the clusters, elements, and media. As, Mahamati, the clusters, elements, and media, void of self, a mere assemblage of aggregates bound by strings of impulse, action, and craving, evolved by interrelation, indifferent, so the clusters, Mahamati, without individuality or commonality, made to appear variously by imagination of what doesn't exist, are imagined by the ignorant, not by the wise. Perceiving all things as devoid of essences of mind, intellect, cognitive consciousness, and the five elements, Mahamati, a great bodhisattva becomes familiar with the selflessness of phenomena. The great bodhisattva who is familiar with the selflessness of phenomena, moreover, Mahamati, before long attains the first stage of awakening, examination without imagery. By perception from examination of the characteristics of the stages, having accomplished knowledge in 9 stages in unbroken succession from extremely joyful, one will attain great cloud of teaching. Established therein, sitting on a great king. Among lotuses, adorned with many jewels and pearls in a great jewel palace made of lotuses, accumulation of inherently illusory objects having ceased, surrounded by similar successors of victors, one is anointed like a crown prince by the hands of Buddhas coming from all Buddha lands. Having gone beyond the stages of a successor of the victorious, by first-hand attainment of the goal of the teaching of the wise one will become master of the body of reality through perception of the selflessness of phenomena. This, Mahamati, is a description of the selflessness of all phenomena. You should learn this, and so should other great bodhisattvas. Then Mahamati also said to the Blessed One, let the Blessed One teach me the definitions of attribution and denial, so that I and other bodhisattvas, with minds freed of mistaken views attributing and denying, may quickly realize true enlightenment. Having become fully enlightened, free of views attributing continuity or destroying by denial, they will not deny your enlightened I. Then the Blessed One, acknowledging the request of the great Bodhisattva Mahamati, spoke this verse. In mind only there is no assertion or denial. Those who don't know the appearance of body, property, and abode is thought, are occupied with attributions and denials, unwise. Then the Blessed One, illuminating the meaning of this same verse, also said, untrue attribution, Mahamati, is of 4 kinds. What are the 4? Attribution of untrue characteristics, attribution of untrue notions, untrue attribution of cause, untrue attribution of existence. These, Mahamati, are the four kinds of attribution.